Real quick. Okay, team, I'm so glad that you hopped on tonight. Tonight we have a phenomenal leader. When I started here last fall, Stephany was also here too, but and I don't know the full story, so tonight I do get to hear it. But she was definitely a leader that I watched from the beginning with my journey here with Lavelle. And I'm gonna call Lovey real quick. Um, but Stephany's one that I watched from the beginning when I started my journey here. So I've definitely seen like her go from where she was and all of her potential, the amazing things that she was doing. Stephany's a 200K leader, and she had life just hit her really hard. And I don't know why. I don't know everything about it, but I did see it and just kind of saw her kind of sink back a little bit, go through learning everything that she had to do and take care of herself and her business and life, and then come back and absolutely explode things. Like it was really cool to see that. So I had to get her on this call tonight for our team to be able to learn from that. So what Stephany's going to be talking about tonight with us is silently quitting, what that looks like. And I think I just taught her about this today too, but what that looks like. And she's going to give us some tips and tricks of how to come out of that stronger than ever. So Stephany, please take it away.
Okay, thank you for that amazing introduction. For those who don't know, like she said, my name's Stephany Kay. I've actually been with the company for over 5 years. I started, I want to say August 8th, 2017 is when I first started this journey. So I'm going to really quick explain how I came into this journey, because it will tie back to what I am going to say about what happened in the last year. Okay. So when I started this journey, I had come off of coming from a different company, but 9 months prior. So you hear a lot about like people leaving a company and then coming here right away and then like transitioning right away. Like I left a company and swore that I would never do this again, ever. I did grow successfully in that last company. But I had a lot of just toxicity that was around in that time frame. And so I decided to leave. And what happened after for the next 9 months actually put me in this downward spiral of depression that I didn't even realize what was happening until it was like I had hit rock bottom. So prior to all of that, I'd always been like really great with finances. I was up in like the upper 700s credit score. I was always like, I got myself, like I can pay my bills, all these things, even though like Aaron's been by my side for like over 17 years. Like I've always been this person, like I got it. I don't ask for help because I don't need it. Well, when I left that previous company, that was my income, because I was able to leave my full-time job with that last company. And when I left, I failed to tell Aaron that I was no longer making an income. I was no longer talking to people. I was no longer paying my bills. I ended up being like 9 months past due on credit card debt. I racked up like $20,000 in credit cards because I failed to tell him what was going on. And by the time I finally was like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening, and I've really screwed up. I have like a 500 credit score. Like I am in debt and I need help. This was like the week that I finally decided to hit the button on Lavelle, because I had tried the product before and I knew it was doing really good for me and my mental health and helping me become a better mom. But like I still said like no to this industry because it literally tore me apart after I left that first time. And I lost a best friend of 20 years over that business. So it was very traumatic for me. But, and I promise this ties into my story that I'm going to get into. When I decided to tell Aaron, hey, here's what's going on and I need help, I started to see the light again. I started to be able to like pick up my head in the morning and not think the whole world was out to get me. I started to realize that what all these negative thoughts that were in my head were literally in my head, and it wasn't real life. And the people that truly were part of that negative side effect from all that stuff, they're no longer in my life for the better. So fast forward after I began, I want to say within 5 months or so, I was able to pay off all of that credit card debt. I was able to get caught up on bills, and I was able to finally feel like I was contributing again to our household. I almost took a job. I used to be in upper management, made a really good income. I was at that company for 10 years, and I almost took a job 4 months after I started Lavelle because I got scared again. It was December and I had seen like a dip in my paycheck, and I instantly like went back to my old space, and I got offered this job, and the week before I started it in January, I had this full on meltdown about like separation anxiety from having to put my daughter in daycare, and that story's for a different time. She's like the whole reason why I started this industry in the first place, because she wasn't supposed to be born alive, and she was. And so she really changed my perspective on what I wanted in life. And I didn't want to work 24/7 anymore like I was. And I thought that was like the coolest thing. But my son got the shaft of that because the first 7 years of his life, that's all I was doing was working. So I didn't want that for her. So I went on this full on meltdown, and he was like, we got this. You do not have to go back to work. And so I didn't. And then that month I went 80K. And the following month, I think this was February of 2018, I had like 160,000 at the end of the month. And then March of 2018, we went 200K as a team. And it was like the greatest feeling on earth. I felt like our momentum was here. I felt like my happy was back. I felt like we just had the greatest community ever. And several months thereafter, we were doing nothing but growing. We were to a point where we were at 700 some thousand a month in consistent monthly sales. And I know you've heard this story. If you're ever on Sunday night huddles, Courtney has shared this story multiple times. Her and I had the same enroller into this company. So our leader blindsided us and completely tried to destroy our business. And then January of 2019, I started to see, because of that, that's when it happened. I started to see my team volume for the month drop by tens of thousands by the week, by the month. And I let that get me into this super bad mental space again. And I'm going to tell you, because when that happened, my numbers still were not that low. That I did lose my 200K rank, but they still were not that low. But I was in this space where I was just like, well, shit's not fair. Like, this isn't fair. And I just didn't want to show up in this way that I had always been showing up for my team. And that same January, they launched rank bonuses. You could earn a dollar for dollar rank bonus up to 200K. So what that meant was, if you hit that rank for the first time, you could earn that much in a bonus. And because I was all like, poor me, I'm not eligible for this bonus because I've already hit 200K. I led my team to failure during that time frame. And I understand, we take control of our businesses. We take control of how successful we are. But when you're looking up to a leader and you're following their footsteps, that actually is a huge part of success. And I never used to think this, but I have experienced it time and time again. If you're following your leader's footsteps and they're leading you down a path, like, you can take one way and then decide to like block everything out, or you can follow them and you can start to go downhill too. In my case, I was still like, let's have our team huddles. And I was still there, like physically, just not presently, if that makes sense. So my team didn't realize that this was all going on in my head, but it translated in my messages. It translated in how I was leading them, and I led them astray. And guess how many people on my team earned that bonus during that 5-month period? Literally nobody. Nobody. And that is almost unheard of. Like, nobody in your team of 7,000 people is going to earn that bonus, even a 4K bonus. No, because I was leaving them in that way. So, anyways, I decided, halfway through the year that like enough was enough. Okay, let me back up real quick. Again, my numbers weren't that low, and I was in this like negative head space. However, I still was not giving up, and I still was not like tapping out, because it was just a selfish thing. This was something that I was just being selfish on, but I knew like I'm still going to be here for the long run, right? So anyways, that summer I decided enough is enough, and I'm going to just put my foot down and run with this. And not 1 week later, they launched these bonuses that were literally only available for if you've ever hit 80K or if you've ever hit 200K. And these were bonuses ranging from $120,000 to $400,000. And I will tell you, they were really hard to earn. Like, these were really hard bonuses to earn. I've seen this bonus come before, and it not very many people in the company have earned them in the past. But I, for whatever reason, was in this just different mindset where I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm not going to earn this. I'm going to run like I'm going to earn it no matter what. Because I flipped my mindset again. And I flipped it to like, I know the potential that my team has. I know the potential that I have, and we're going to make this work. And we ran for the next 5 months, and we earned that bonus. We earned the $120,000 bonus. And I will tell you, it was absolutely life-changing. It was like 3 weeks before we earned it. I will tell you, that I told Aaron, I was like, we're 50,000 away from earning this, and it's not going to happen. And I counted myself out 3 weeks before we earned it. It was like 3 weeks until the end of the earning period. And he was like, if you say you're not going to earn it, then you're not going to earn it. But if you say you will earn it, then you will. So he like kicked my mental health back into gear with one conversation, and we did it. We somehow pulled out of our butts, and we did it. So fast forward to last year, okay? Last year, and in this meantime, we gained our 200K back, okay? So we gained our 200K back, and I was actually in Tennessee with a couple of other 200K leaders and 80K leaders, celebrating their first time hits of the rank. Like, I think Coop had just hit hers, Kaylee had just hit hers, Ryan had recently hit hers. This was a Tennessee trip that Courtney had to just celebrate all the new 80 and 200Ks that had earned that rank. And while we were there, I regained mine. And it was just such a special weekend. And it, again, was just the pivotal moment. And everything was gravy. Well, then life happened. And this is the first time that life like this has ever happened to me. So a little over a year ago, my mom passed away, and it was sudden, and we weren't expecting it, and it was really, really hard. So when this happened, so prior to this, I feel like our leaders, including me, we have always kind of been like, life will happen, but you still got to work your business. Life will happen, and you still have to show up. And that's the case. But I was literally taking it so literal at that point in time when that happened, that I literally like made things so much worse on myself. Because in that moment when that happened, like, I had never had something like that happen before. And so I didn't realize how much it was going to affect me until it actually happened. And when it happened, I literally didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know how to show up anymore. I felt like if I showed up in a happy way, that people are going to be like, well, what's wrong with her? She's happy and her mom just died. Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't let myself grieve. I didn't cry at the funeral. I literally did not allow myself to feel anything, because it was too hard to think about actually showing emotion. So I, over the next couple of months, continued to show up while my mental health was continuing to just get worse and worse. And I wasn't telling anybody. I wasn't telling my team leaders that I needed extra help from them. I didn't tell Courtney that I needed to take a step back with my leadership duties for the team. I didn't ask for help or anything because I was ashamed that I was always the one saying life happens, but you still got to push through it. You still got to get up and work. And I, in that moment, realized I don't want anyone on my team to ever feel this way, to ever feel like it's an obligation to do XYZ when in reality, your first and foremost job is to take care of you, to take care of your mental health, to take care of your self-care, all the things. So during this time, I will also say that business numbers had also been dropping. And this was historical across the board, across the company, across the industry, okay? Because this was just across the industry. Business numbers were lower for me than they were, or hold on a second, let me think. No, business numbers were not as low. Sorry, they were lower, and I had lost my 200K again, but they were not as low as they were that 2019 situation. But remember that 2019 situation, I never tapped out because that was just a different mental situation. But in this case, once again, do you remember before I started Lavelle, I went into this deep depression. I didn't tell Aaron what was going on, and I got myself in like just a major pickle with life in general. This was happening, and I didn't know that this was happening at the time, but this was happening, and it was happening and unraveling for the next like 7 months. And I was failing my team again, and I was failing myself again, and I still was not telling anybody. I still wasn't allowing myself to grieve. I still wasn't allowing myself self-care. I stopped doing any of it. I stopped doing all of that. I kept working, I kept grinding, but in all the unhealthy ways. And when I got into this negative mindset and this negative headspace during this time, because I literally didn't know what to do with my life, I started to feel the negativity and feel the toxicity that I was creating, but at the time I didn't realize I was creating it. So I started to feel like if I didn't step in and do an MMM, that I was being looked at as she's not stepping up as leader. If I didn't host a huddle, or if I said I can't do this on this day, I felt like I was being looked at by all the other leaders, thinking like, well, she's a terrible leader. She's not showing up or doing anything. And I started to feel that way. I started to basically resent leadership. It wasn't anyone in specific, but I just started to resent the leadership chat. I muted it. I stopped looking at it. I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't talked to Courtney in months, and that's so unheard of for us. We've been through it together for over 5 years, and we're really close friends, and I stopped talking to her. I stopped talking to everybody. And when that was happening, I started to blame how I was feeling on our leadership and how we were leading our team. I started to make up the fact that, you know, leaders don't care about your emotions. They don't care about what's going on in your life. They just want you to work, and they just want you to work with their team. But in reality, that is not what happened. I never told anybody what was going on. How is somebody supposed to know what's happening internally with me if I don't speak up or if I don't say anything? So because that happened for several months, I got to a point where I literally couldn't anymore. I could not do it anymore. And I literally tapped out. I left all the chats. I left all the groups, and I called Courtney and I said, I'm done. Literally done. Can't do it. And I full on expected this crazy crap show of a conversation, and it is the exact opposite of what happened. She was very graceful with me. She was very loving to me. She was like, as long as you're happy. And I was very caught off guard by that conversation, but I still was like, I'm done. I'm already doing it. I'm leaving. And I tapped out. And I tapped out for several months. And here's the confusing part from the outsiders looking in. Do you know how many people asked me all these crazy questions because they were like, once they saw me leave, they saw me coming back out of my shell, they saw me getting my happy back, and they saw me like having like all this happiness again, all over again, like my old self was back. And I think that at the time I thought, I'm happy because I left Lavelle. I'm happy because I tapped out and like, took this silent hiatus, not so silent hiatus, I guess, from the company. And I truly thought for a while that that was why I was getting my happy back. But in reality, what happened, and this is when it clicked, this clicked to me about a month before I talked to Courtney about it, to say like, hey, I want to come back. This clicked with me was, it wasn't me leaving the company that was giving me my happy back. It was when I left, I freed myself from all of this negative environment and thoughts that I had created over the past several months that I didn't know how to get away from, and that I was blaming on all things company, all things team, all things leadership, when in reality it was me, and I wasn't allowing myself to unleash from it. And when I left, thinking, okay, well, my chains are free, like I'm done, like I'm unlocked from this like box now. What really was happening is, because I set that like box away and I got out of it, I allowed myself to start grieving. I allowed myself to like do self-care and to like not care who's in my inbox. I let myself take this mental break from like what society thinks I should be doing. And I had this I don't give two craps type of this mentality. And it really like made me become alive again. Okay. So when that happened and I was able to like become alive again, and I realized like I made the biggest mistake on earth by leaving this company. I missed my products. I missed my people. Like I literally missed Courtney. I missed the leadership team. Like I missed all these people and community that I thought was trying to ruin me before, because I realized it wasn't them, it was me. And when I talked to Courtney about it, I was like so scared. And I was like, listen, I really think that I miss this. And she was like screaming through the roof, like, I was waiting for you to say this. Like, and I will tell you, coming back was another scary thing for me, because I flooded myself with, what are people going to think? Like, are people going to lose credibility in me? Are people going to be so mad that I'm back? Like all these things. And to be honest, I saw so much care, and I saw so much of people who respected the fact that I was able to be raw and authentic and like say my truths and be vulnerable and put my foot in my mouth, because I've never really been the person to put my foot in my mouth, or I have this pride problem. And I was able to throw the pride away and be like, listen, I screwed up. And in fact, the reason, like, because I let myself get to the point where I did, I needed that break. Like mentally, honestly, I needed that break. And I think if I hadn't done that, then maybe I wouldn't be here right now. But I will tell you, I should have prevented myself from getting to that point. And that's kind of what I want to like talk about, is I didn't take the baby steps when I was going through that to be able to work my business consistently in a way that I could physically and mentally handle, along with doing the self-care stuff. I didn't do that in the way that I should have. What I should have done is I should have told Courtney, hey, this is what's going on. I need some space from the leadership team. I need to like take some of these tasks off my plate. I should have taken my leaders on my team and been like, this is what's going on. I'm going to need you to step up for our team, because this is what's going on. And I should have just been truthful about it. And I should have been truthful about what I could physically handle. And if I had done that, and if I had just been like, you know what, I'm just going to take, 1 hour a day to do these non-negotiables that are going to help continue to grow my business, but I'm going to take 7 hours a day to put my phone away, because that's what's killing my brain right now. And I should have realized that I'm a holistic health and nutrition coach. This is the stuff I coach on. Like, I should have realized that about myself, and I didn't. But I should have never gotten to the point where I got to when I decided to tap out. So let me think. Hold on. There's other things I wanted to say. I forgot what I was gonna say because I looked at my notes. um, but anyways, oh, you wanted me to talk about I came back stronger than ever. Okay, so when I decided to finally come back and like just be real, raw, and authentic, and just like continue having this I don't care what you think mentality coming back into this, I will tell you, things have been real good. They have become, they've been real good over since I came back. And I want to say it was the end of August when I decided to step back in this role. And lo and behold, like Courtney put me right back into my leadership role. And I needed that. And so I came back with this mentality like, I am not going to let anything make me feel like it was about me, because guess what? The world does not revolve around me. It doesn't. And when I realized that, and when I realized that if something happens over here, or if like I can't make an MMM, like no one's faulting me for that. We're all human. You know what I mean? I also decided that when it's my family time, it's my family time. And I'm going to not let the phone control me. Weekends, if you follow me on Instagram, you will see that a lot of times on the weekends, my stories are blank. There are no stories there. You will have people that tell you that is not right. And I will tell you, if it's not right, then I'm not right. And I will tell you this, whatever you want to do with your social media is what you want to do with your social media. There's no right or wrong. And if it means self-care to you to put it down on the weekend, then that's what it means. And my PPA has been super high since I came back. And I have unplugged when I needed to unplug. I have been on family stuff and not touched my phone. I am on my phone less now than I was then, and my enrollments are like multiplied by like 4 or 5. So it's because I now continue to stay real and authentic. I speak whatever I want to speak. And I also don't post every single day on Instagram. And I feel like I am the leader that is going to say all the opposite things of what most leaders will say. I do not post every day on Instagram. If you look on my Instagram feed, my Instagram is the Stephany Kay. If you have the graphic, it's not spelled with an IE, it's spelled with a Y. In the last, since I came back, I have made 4 Instagram posts. 4 Instagram posts. But I'm in my stories in an authentic way. When I decide that's when I want to be in the stories, I am in my reels. I share people's successes on my Facebook. I work Facebook so differently than I do my Instagram. I don't post every day on Facebook either. But my enrollments are not down. So tell me that if I don't post every day, I'm going to fail at my business. You can't, because literally I have some of the highest PPA in our entire organization right now. So I'm just saying, people want authenticity. They want real life. They want you to show the dirty. They want you to show the raw. They want you to show when you're going through tough times. You don't have to spill all your dirty laundry. But if you have this highlight reel that seriously makes you look like this perfect person 24/7, that's never realistic. And I know I don't follow people like that. I want to follow the real, the raw, the gritty. So that's just what I have to say about that. You can start with questions now, because I don't know what else to say.
Stephany, thank you so much for being on this call. Your story, I mean, you were very sincere and very authentic, and literally held nothing back from sharing your story. The ups, the downs, the wins, the major losses, your mindset crashes, but also your major mindset wins and your shifts. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we need to hear, like the really authentic, not like, oh, I quit my job and then I went 200K, like it all just worked out. No, we know damn well it doesn't just happen like that. Like if it does, like kudos, but shit's gonna hit the fan at some point. And thank you so much for being really authentic with that. I do have some questions. I am going to always open it up to the team if they have questions, but if you ladies are still thinking of some, I'm just going to like, I took so many notes during that call, like so many, as I saw some of the other girls did too. So some of my notes that I took was just take time to process your emotions. And like you said, like other leaders, they kind of just say like, do the work, you know, like keep showing up, do your posts. And like, I'll admit, like I used to think like that. And sometimes I still do. Like last week was just a crap week. And I'm like, I got to post, I got to keep doing my stuff. But like, I'm crying every night. Like I need to process all this stuff. So I did it, you know? So it's really good to hear from a 200K leader that's been around the block 5 times to tell you that and say that it's okay. And also not overworking yourself. If I ever did leave my clinic job, I know that I would be that person that would be on my phone 24/7. I think some of us would be that way too, because we love what we do so much. That we just get caught up in it. Like, I have to keep doing more. I have to keep doing more. But you're here being a testament and saying that we don't have to, and doing the self-care, doing the mental health. And one thing that I want you to go into a little bit more detail on while the girls are dropping their questions in chat is delegating leadership. This is such a good one. Can you please explain that for the team?
Yeah, so I will be honest. Sometimes sometimes in different spaces of your business, there's not going to be the perfect layer leadership. Okay. And that's okay. But it also doesn't mean you have to physically do everything. I used to be such a control freak and have to be like, this is how it's going to be. And I'm going to do this and all the things, but like literally no. My leaders know that my team chat is also their team chat. They know that like if they have something inspirational to put in the chat, like please do it. They will forward things from our leader stuff into our team. They will assist with that. If I literally be like, hey, I'm going to be gone for XYZ doing this, they know like, okay, I need to be extra mindful about the chat and whatnot. So when I tapped out, I had a team page as well as the Grace on Fire page. That's my daughter trying to get in my office, but like my door is like jammed of some sort, so I can barely get out of my office. I thought I was locked in my office earlier, but anyways, so we each had like we would do Zooms every so often, and we'd be like, okay, well, let's strategize on the next month or the next 2 months in what we want to accomplish with our team. And sometimes I'll do giveaways and my leaders will be responsible for like posting about those giveaways or whatnot. So it's not like a whole lot of things. It's just having this understanding between us leaders that like we have each other's backs when they're needed. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's like this person has XYZ task, that person has, ABC task. Like we kind of work together as like one unit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it really just comes down to communication with your leaders, with your customers, with your team, all the way around. Just communication is what helps keep the bond together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, this call is so good. You had me tearing multiple points in this call. So much of it hit home. So much of it did. Does anybody have questions? I have looked in the chat. I don't see any Jacks. Yeah, it definitely does go back to the masculine and feminine call. Absolutely. Bobby is asking, what would you tell someone who isn't sure where to focus on their business, especially when it comes to social media? What would you have them focus on?
Okay, so here is something that I like to talk about because so many people will be like, if you're not on Pinterest, you're not succeeding. If you're not on this platform, you're not succeeding. But honestly, like that's not true. That is not true. And that is like the last thing I will ever tell somebody. Like if you're not comfortable or confident in Instagram, then why are you focusing on Instagram? Like don't do it. Focus on what makes you comfortable. Like a lot of people are like, well, I don't know Instagram, but I know Facebook. Then stick with Facebook. That Facebook isn't my niche. Like that's not where I grow from. Like all of my growth comes from Instagram. I swear to you, all of my growth comes from Instagram. my enrollments, everything. It's all Instagram. And if it is from Facebook, it's because they came from Instagram. So what I tell people is do not try and do everything. If you see Laura Burris killing it on reels, don't be like, I need to go be like Laura and do all these reels because she's killing it and finding all the success there. Like, that's not you. If you don't understand how to make a reel, like, and you're in this time frame where you're like really struggling on what to focus on, take one thing that you feel most comfortable about whatever you're doing. So if you're having this handful of things, whatever it is that you feel most comfortable about with that list of things, go to that and focus on that. Okay. Master one thing before you go try to learn something else. And that is literally the biggest advice I can give somebody who's trying to do all the things. I've been there. I know most people have been there. They'll get on an MMM and someone will be talking about TikToks or Reels or whatever. And they're like, oh, I need to go download this. Like, what was it that they said? It's like, you don't have to do that. It's okay if you want to try something, but like literally, if it's not working for you, then don't do it. There are many things like there's, for example, what is that app called? I don't know. There's an app that so many of the leaders use, and it like that's how they create their stories in Instagram and all the things. I tried it once. It was not my cup of tea. It is not something that I wanted to learn, and I deleted the app. Yeah, literally, I do not do unfolds. If I were to create a story that's pretty like that, and if you follow me, you know that I don't do that almost ever. It would be on Canva because I use Canva for all of my businesses. You know, like, see, I see some of Jessica there. She uses Canva, so I just don't use Unfold. There was something else I want to say too before I go to the next question that I forgot to say. Oh my gosh, what was it? Oh, if you ever, okay, this is, if you remember me saying, like, I didn't tell Aaron what was going on for 9 months, I didn't tell my team or my leaders what was going on all that time last year. If you ever have life happen, or if you are in some type of this like mental funk, don't keep it to yourself. Like, literally, do not keep it to yourself. You don't have to go into details with people if you don't want to, but like, go to your leader, go to your best friend, go to somebody honestly within this industry or sideline and upline or something that can relate to you in this space that you trust enough to tell what's going on, because then at least you're not doing it alone. And then at least you can feel a little bit more confident in doing some of the things that you need to do to kind of bring yourself back mentally. Don't overdo things. Don't pretend like everything's gravy, because it's not, and your audience will see that and it will just not be good. Okay, next questions. I'm kind of scrolling to see if I'm missing anything. How do you make working your business fun? What are those specific things? Everyone's fun is going to be so wildly different. Like, I follow Laurel and I love watching you do all of your farm stuff. And like, I don't know, you were like on this hay bale trailer the other day in one of your reels or something. I don't know. I love watching like that side of your story, but like, I can't share that kind of a story. But like, for me, our whole family is just this entrepreneurial family. Like, Aaron's owned his own businesses for over 20 years. I've owned my own businesses for over 14 years. Our son, who's 15, has his own business. And I feel like probably our daughter is going to end up the CEO of a company of her own someday because she's wild. Like, I don't know. So like, for me, I make what's fun in our life. Like, I think it's really fun, all the things that we do, that's just not the same as like a normal family who's not like a family of all business owners. Like, he builds these wildly modern homes and he builds them in his head, and then he puts it on paper, and then he builds it. Okay. And we get to experience all of those. So like, I love to share about how we collaborate on all that. And I think that comes most natural to me, is to talk about how we assist each other and support each other in business owning and all the things. So I feel like what's going to be fun to you is going to be whatever is most what comes to you most naturally. Okay. I guess, and that kind of goes to finding your pillars, finding your niche. And I had a one-on-one with one of my team members the other day, and she was like, I'm on these MMMs and I don't understand like what my pillars are, like what my niche is. I don't have a niche. I'm boring. And I was like, you are not boring. Like I literally told her, I was like, I've known you for 4 years and I know that you stay home. I know that you have kids my age. I know that your husband also owns a construction business. I know that you love Jeeps. I know that you assist your husband in all of his contracting stuff all the time. And when certain seasons are hit, like I know these about you. And I just kept listing off the things. And she was like, well, yeah, but that's just everyday life. I'm like, yeah, but that's your everyday life. So start sharing about your everyday life. And she was like, she had an epiphany. So like, it's really what's going to come natural to you. Like what, if somebody were being like, you have to speak in front of 1 million people on one topic for 10 hours straight, what would come and flow natural to you? That's going to be what's going to be fun for you because you can naturally talk about that. I hope that answers your question. Let's see, best advice about juggling your home life and work life. Oh man, I'm not good at that. I will say do the best that you can. I will say the thing that's helped us. So like there was a time where I was glued to the phone and glued to all the things, and it really put a strain on my relationship in the households. So like it put a strain on me and the kids, and it put a strain on me and Aaron, because that's what I focused on, and it made them feel like they were second to my business. I would say if there's a time frame where it's like you're really pressing towards, maybe it's bonus season and you're really pressing towards something, like have a family meeting and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is why I need to do this. This is going to help our family because of XYZ. Like I'm going to need a little bit of extra help from you guys. Maybe the kids take on an extra chore, and maybe your husband cooks an extra meal at night or whatever it is. And as long as that communication is there, I feel like things will get better. But if the communication is not there and all they see of you is just on your phone, on your computer, all the things, all the time, that's going to get overwhelming for them and they're going to start to resent it. I've been there. Like I have almost broke this family apart because of it. So my biggest advice there is literally communicate with your family and don't put them second to your business. Just don't do it. There is a time and a place to be super like, I need to be laser focused on this right now, and that's bonus season or whatever it is. Maybe whatever it is in your business, there's a time and place. But if that's 24/7 every single season of your business, you will drain yourself out and you will drain all the happiness out of your household. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm not going to say that I'm absolutely not perfect at juggling home life and work life, because I run 2 full-time businesses. Aaron runs 2 full-time businesses, and our kids are in school and a lot of sports. Like I am not the best at it, but I do my best. And I show up for them when they need me, and then return, they show up for you when you need them. Let's see. Any other questions or thoughts or anything? You guys are welcome. Thanks for popping on and having me.
I don't have any other questions. So if anybody else has questions, it's last call, because we do have the Gift of Grace calls tonight as well that are starting back up this week. They have been amazing, and I love having you on again, Stephany, and clearly the team does too. Like we resonated so much with what you spoke to us tonight about.
For sure. I mean, you just tell me when and we'll make it work.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely be having you back on our call. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. It's good to see you all. Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.